Vaughn already knows this. Whoever's editing this might not make it in because it's too sus. King Triton's is too powerful for YouTube.
Why are those words in a sentence together?
I know. They should never be said.
Welcome back to Insert Art.
I'm Morgan.
I'm Ariel.
Insert awkward intro. What are we doing today?
We looked at the production schedule and it said R-rated Disney characters and we were like, Jazza, what? I thought this channel was PG-13.
I thought it was G. We're not even allowed to swear. Example. It got b***ed. We're not allowed to with a little artistic license. We're going to take 2 Disney characters.
Or 4?
And
2 each. 2 each.
Maths. And we're going to get real dark. We're going to adultify these Disney characters. And things are going to get a little bit yuck, a little bit scary.
We've got our random generator.
Okay.
All right, go Morgan, you're first up.
Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket.
No.
Dark Jiminy. Pinocchio is actually so dark though.
Yes. Oh my god.
actually
the original text of Pinocchio gets real effed up.
Even like all the boys getting like turned into donkeys and stuff.
Oh,
and that's...
I have like stress dreams about that. Max Goof!
Max Goof!
Maxie!
Alright, next character for you.
King Triton! Yeah! I'm very excited about this. Maybe we'll go less gross, more of a yum R18. Alright.
Alright, and my last one.
Finally, for you, Jane. What do you reckon? Jane. Have you got something?
I think so.
So what have we got? I've got Jiminy Cricket and
King Triton. I've got Max Goof and Jane. We're really short on time today because this morning we were doing a masterclass with our patrons where they submit their work and we talk about it and actually paint over and give advice and critiques. If you would like to be a part of that, please sign up to our Patreon. Link is in the description. Now that we only have half a day left,
yes,
let's get down to business.
Yes.
We must be swift as a coursing river. Max Goof is a character I haven't thought of in a long time. I only basically know him from the Goofy movie and from like that one meme that keeps coming up. I have a life of my own now, Dad. And then Goofy is like, I know, I just want to be a part of it.
Aww.
And it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'm kind of siding with Goofy on that one.
When we were 12, we sided with Max, and now that we're grown up, we actually side with Goofy. So Dad, I'm glad you're a part of my life. Max Goof, he is basically that rebellious teenager who's been way too smothered by his single father, Goofy. His father's just overcompensating and just trying to love him, and it's way too stifling for Max. So I don't really remember much of the Goofy movie, just that it was the typical like teen trying to break out and find his own way.
Yep.
And so for this one, he's probably gone off to college. They've had like a crazy night. He's passed out on the couch. He's just like GCS 3
oh my god.
on the Glasgow Coma scale. He's gone.
I love this pose, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I did reference it.
No, it's fantastic. I love the way you've translated it into the style of like the Goofy movie. It looks very exaggerated, but you haven't gone too far. Like it looks really good.
Yeah, when you told me early on, look, just keep it more like flat. Doing the Disney style gave me license to not get every line completely straight, to not worry exactly about perspective. So there he is, lying on the floor.
Beer in his hand?
Yeah, it's a beer in his hand, it's a beer on the floor, it's beer under the couch, it's beer spilled on the pillow.
Yeah.
As much as I say that I like storytelling, I tend to do it in the form of comics. So I'm not used to storytelling within one single photo, and so this was kind of a first for me. And at the end, you'll see the crux of the story and the relationship between Max and his dad on his phone.
This pose in and of itself like conveys a lot of mood, and you can see that he's like slumped down off the couch and someone's maybe found him there and just thrown a pillow under him or something, maybe. I love that. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, this is fantastic. So there's definitely a story happening.
I struggled a bit with his face because it's obviously not human structure, but I think in the end I managed to get him looking like him. Like you can tell it's Max.
Well, he looks so peaceful.
My only regret with this piece is because we were so limited by time, I didn't get to do what I would have wanted to with the shading and highlights and a bit more mood lighting. So right at the end, I chucked in very, very, very basic gradient. It does add to the mood. It's so simple. If I had 5 more hours or even 1 more hour, I would have done so much more with this. But I think, and the 24 missed calls was just a throwback. I was living in Singapore by myself during a gap year. I took a nap. It was literally a nap.
A nap.
And woke up to like 37 missed calls.
Oh my God.
Because my parents were trying to call me. I wasn't picking up, so they called my friends. Then my friends were calling me. My friends were calling my relatives. My relatives were calling.
Oh my God.
What is it, Pete?
Your kid's duping you.
What do you mean? I've grown up! I've got my own life now!
Maxie!
So with mine, I sort of had a very clear idea as soon as I started of where I wanted to go, and I got Jiminy Cricket, but I really, like, as soon as we were saying like R-rated, creepy, like if horror was a possibility, I couldn't ignore Pinocchio. Like he really had to be in there. So, you know, I immediately, went for this like really gnarly, like creepy puppet. I didn't really use any references. I wish I did. Would have made it a lot easier.
But I think without reference, that it just gets so much more wacky.
I know, yeah, and I think that's a good point, because it's like, the whole point of this was like, it's uncanny and it's unsettling, and it's like, if you're not using an anatomically accurate reference, you're gonna get very uncanny very quickly, which is definitely what happened.
2 layers of teeth. He's got teeth up there and the teeth
No, he's got like a wood grain.
Oh, gotcha.
I really exaggerate it. So yeah, it kind of it's this gnarly, toothy looking
Love it.
sort of texture. A cricket just wasn't hardcore enough, so we've got Jiminy Spider. It doesn't have the same whimsical ring to it, a bit more gnarly and gross and creepy. I decided to keep it grayscale early on just because we were pressed for time. One less thing to think about just helps you with speed, and I don't think it really adds a lot. Like if I was going to do lots of color, like it kind of detracts from the creepiness.
I love how here you've started with the dark base and then you're building all the lights up. Because I think in your process usually starts with a mid-tone, then adds some shadows and highlights separately.
Yeah, I don't know, there's something about this that if you start dark and build onto that.
It gives you that feeling of like something emerging from darkness,
Oh,
which
absolutely.
is like
that sounds very smart.
it's deep-seated in like every human psyche. Anytime something is coming out of the darkness, that immediately inspires that sense of like horror.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If you're sort of using light, leaning on that to convey form, all the shadows sort of blend into that background darkness. That adds to the uncanny uncertainty. I did end up adding a bit of color, but it's sort of more like just for mood and sort of to help with the composition. I really enjoyed this actually. It looks awful. Like I just had so much fun.
It's fantastic. I love
Thank you.
how you can tell it's still Jiminy Cricket just based on the hat and the face, even though the body is completely different.
Definitely think I'm gonna have stress dreams about this.
The spider webs are such a nice touch. It's such a like a delicate bit of light on top of all that darkness.
One thing that really adds to how awful this is like the weird milky eyes that Pinocchio has.
Yeah.
And also Gollum hair. Gollum hair just makes everything worse in a good way, I think.
And that wooden tongue.
Oh yeah.
That's so well done.
You know what? I actually stole that from Naruto. If anyone knows what that is.
Oh, yeah, everyone knows
the
what that is.
puppet, the Kankaro's got his puppets, and they have these horrible, like, prehensile wooden tongues. And I was like, yuck, I have to steal that.
Nice.
You know, I can spend 10 more hours on this and make it look my idea of perfect, but I think the whole point of today was like, we just want to convey the idea of these characters being R-rated-ish, just scary and not quite right. And I think this is absolutely not quite right, in a good way.
Okay, when I started this piece, we only had like an hour left, which is a major challenge for me because as a hobbyist, I've almost never had to work under strict time constraints with art. And so I'm not used to doing things like within 3-4 hours, much less like one piece in 1 hour.
Yeah,
so I decided like I had to do something different because my regular process, there was no way it was gonna fit into an hour. I said, I'm just gonna go really rough and lean into that so that I don't need to spend time polishing.
Yeah, how did that affect your decision making, the time constraint?
It made me work with like the background and the color and the tone first. So we
Yep.
start really gritty. I quickly roughed in the pose. The story here is that R-rated Jane, she's ended up in this crazy jungle. There is no Tarzan to save her, so she's just had to
no.
survive on her own and go like full huntress mode.
Oh, huntress. Yes,
Yeah.
I like that word. Very
So I
cool.
kind of wanted her like emerging from darkness as well. In this R-rated version, animals in this jungle are not friends. So she's actually killed the gorilla, the one that's Tarzan's friend Turk.
Oh no. Oh no! Turk!
My original idea was to have her wearing him like kind of a trophy cape. You know,
That's
like it's just got
so
the skull and then
brutal.
the skin. I think in the end she's just gonna be like carrying him like, you know, he like freshly hunted.
That's cool. That's a really good pose.
Oh,
It
thank
reminds
you.
me of Frank Frazetta's work, if you know who he
Yes.
is.
He references like all the bodybuilders and his
Yeah,
anatomy
yeah,
is so
yeah.
good. I love Frank Frazetta.
He's a babe. Yeah, I found it interesting that you started with the light pen.
Yeah, I just knew that I wanted the final to be in black inks,
Yep.
so I just used the opposite for the original sketch. And because the background was dark, the light
Yep.
was just easier to see. So the entire time I was drawing this piece, I was already like internally mourning, knowing that I wouldn't be able to take it to a level of completion I would be satisfied with. But I said, you know what, being part of this channel is also just a way to stretch and grow. And so I'm gonna embrace the time challenge and just see like how that forces creativity out in other ways that I wouldn't normally explore. So the important thing here I think was the pose and the general mood. Starting with a dark background, going with gritty inks, getting the right pose in was already most of the battle won. And then it was a matter of just trying to fill out the rest of the line work, like the background, trying to get the gorilla to read as a gorilla. And then I realized, okay, maybe I do have a little bit of time, so I'm gonna chuck in some really basic colors. So Jane has to be the lightest against a dark background so that she stands out. The gorilla is obviously dark because it's background plus that's also his natural color. And I wanted to keep everything gritty, desaturated, but at the same time it still had to read as Jane. Like you have to look at this color scheme and immediately just know that it's her.
I think as well, like compositionally, you've got Jane's figure is like slender, but the pose is very powerful. But then you've got this huge mass behind her, and then the suggestion is that she's lifting that. I think it's a very effective like piece of imagery.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive that you came up with that, you know, in such a short amount of time.
But I was heating up my food and our microwave is so slow. So like I just was leaning next to the microwave with my eyes closed and just trying to draw this out in my head. So
I've drawn pictures in bed while I'm trying to sleep because I've got a deadline to meet. I know that pain. I think what you did with the foot is great. Like, did you elongate that in any way, or
Yeah.
it looks like it's stretched, but I think it works really well. Like,
So I remember watching Tarzan as a kid. And I was like, I don't know, the way they draw his feet and the way like his toes grip onto branches, especially while he's like surf sliding on them.
Yeah.
That was always such a thing. So I felt like it had to feature in this. It is exaggerated, the proportions aren't exactly right. But again, this is like basically an hour speed paint. And I'm gonna let it be a bit gritty and rough. But you know what? Let's embrace the grittiness, the time constraints. As part of my growth as an artist, I'll say like, if I can do this in an hour or so, that's already much better than what I could have done before.
I think you'll find though, like, it's frustrating, but you will be able to look back on this and feel that you've learnt. Like, you'll come to something later on, you'll be put under those same constraints, but you'll like have that experience under your belt. So it's always like, it does suck to be put under the pump like that,
Yeah.
but it makes you better.
Would you say this is R-rated enough for Jane?
Absolutely. Gorilla murder is,
Yeah,
in
true,
my
gorilla-
books,
Gorilla murder.
not okay. I think this is fantastic.
Oh,
I really
thanks
like
so
it.
much. And thanks again just for like being here and encouraging me and kind of keeping me on track. Like when I want to go off down a route that would take me like another 3 hours to render,
Yeah.
you're like, nah, you don't have to do that. It actually looks good this way.
But like, no, you did a great job.
Thanks, Morgan.
No worries.
It means a lot like coming from you because every time I look at your screen, I'm like, damn, one day, I can go the distance.
I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to look at my screen, so we'll see. Okay, so my second piece was King Triton. I had so many ideas for this. I was thinking maybe I could do like something gory or something horrific. There were so many directions, but I got pulled in like the X-rated Magic Mike direction.
Oh, gross.
It's a very strong pull, and it affects us all. It really does. With that in mind, I started fleshing out the anatomy. I found the pros very quickly. I think there's something about mermaids.
Oh, they're
I don't
so
know.
easy to like just form into a gesture line.
Exactly. And because there's no gravity, you can sort of very simply just have this nice curvy shape and just build something on top of that.
He's already giving me such Super Salmon vibes.
I know. Yeah. It's those big, round, juicy pecs. They're just, they're gross. And I found the face very quickly. Yeah, the whole thing is just really something, isn't it?
It's
He doesn't-
terrible in the best way.
Yeah, there's no shame. Here I am. I'm loud and I'm proud.
Oh, his beard's covering up his juicy pecs.
I know. That honestly broke my heart. But then, I guess I focused more on the arms and shoulders. Yeah, no, I think it came together really quickly for me, which make of that what you will.
Why are his fins so far down? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This is where it gets really not safe for work. Is my idea was like, that mermaid tail, like a piece of clothing that you can slip on and off. This is probably the most inappropriate thing I've ever drawn. The whole thing is sort of a reference to the Tumblr like art accounts.
Yeah.
That you might stumble across,
man.
back in the day, and you're like, whoa, hey, this is not the kind of cartoons I wanted to look at. All jokes aside, I'm actually kind of happy with how the line work turned out.
Oh, the lines are beautiful.
Thank you.
It's just the
Everything
rest
else
of
is
it.
not so beautiful. I'm sorry, YouTube. I'm sorry, everyone.
I'm so torn because honestly, from an artistic point of view, it's so strong. The shapes, the
Thank you.
line work, the flow, like the rhythm of things is so good. It's just that, and then you get to like the bottom 20%.
You're like, oh no. Problem is that it is nice, and it's also very unnice at the same time. I decided I wasn't going to do anything fancy. I was going to leave it flat, but I had a bit of time to just sort of suggested sort of lighter tones.
I think that's the
darker
theme
tones.
for today, just lightly suggesting
I
things.
know. Well, this is anything but lightly suggestive, this piece. Good
Why did you
God.
give him that expression? His
I know.
face. Ah.
I think the face is almost more offensive than the lack of pants. So this is pretty harmless. This is literally just a bunch of paint and dots that I'm drawing here. But as soon as you pixelate it, it looks awful. Like, oh God. It's so unpleasant. Maybe I'll be discussing this 5 years from now with a therapist. Who knows?
Or in 5 days from now with HR.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll get fired. We actually showed everyone in the office. Everyone loved it, but we did get the advice that this might not make it onto YouTube, so who
So
knows?
we are making a insert art OnlyFans.
Yes, we are.
For art like this.
Insert art OnlyFans.
Insert OnlyFans.
Insert OnlyFans. So check it out, guys. We're all very excited about it.
Part of the discomfort, apart from the obvious, is
Yeah.
that the colors, the lines, the style, everything is just so reminiscent of a innocent, beloved childhood film.
Yeah, that's what makes it so awful.
That is
really.
where the dissonance comes from.
Yeah, and it's like, oh.
Your colors are so on point, like those beautiful saturated blues and then contrasting with like the warm orange of his skin tone. It's just so...
Yeah, it's perfectly awful. And it's like you can't, once you sort of introduce that inappropriate element, the more you lean away from that and try and make it a bit more viewer friendly, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
It just makes it worse. It's just awful.
Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed watching us struggle making things R-rated but not R-rated. And we hope you liked seeing some of your old nostalgic Disney characters in a different light.
We're very sorry to everyone's childhood, and I can't wait to hear about everyone's stress dreams about Pinocchio.
Let us know what you think in the comments. We actually do read all of them, and that is one of our favorite parts of the job, actually. Even if we can't respond to all your comments individually, we actually do see them and we appreciate them.
I've actually had some really awesome feedback from people, and
Yeah.
it helps motivate us to be better at what we do. So
And we do take it on board.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Let us know if you would like to see more of this. I mean, there's so many Disney characters. We can always
Yeah.
grossify
Oh, yeah.
other ones.
And also, Alicia, she's got a horrible, twisted mind, so maybe we can pass it on to her and see what she comes up with.
Yes. Thank you, as always, to our patrons. I think we got that right this time. Stop calling them Patreons.
Patrons.
If you are interested in becoming a patron, please click on the link in the description. There are different tiers you can subscribe to, and the top tier, which is the master tier, is where you get exclusive tutorials and content and monthly live Q&A sessions with us where you can submit artwork and we paint over, which is what we did this morning and why we are so short on time for the rest of the video.
It was worth it because we had a blast, and if you're interested, please consider subscribing to the Patreon.
See you next time.
Bye bye.